The smell of rain on dry earth was the smell of home. It was the smell of 6 generations of Callahan sweat and hope baked into 500 acres of Iowa soil. I stood at the fence line, my hands rough from fixing the post, and watched the dust cloud approach. It wasn't a tractor, it was a black luxury sedan, absurdly out of place. My parents got out, their city clothes pristine against the golden fields. My sister, Bianca, followed, her diamond engagement ring catching the sun like a betrayal. "We need to talk, Sierra," my father said, not meeting my eyes. In our farmhouse kitchen, over coffee I'd grown and roasted myself, they dropped the bomb. "We're selling the farm," my mother said, her voice tight. "The offer is too good to refuse. The developers are turning it into heritage estates, a planned community." The words didn't make sense. Selling? This is our home, my business. The organic line is finally turning a profit. Your little hobby? Bianca sneered, examining her manicure. "Selling jam at farmers markets. Jared's family expects a proper wedding, a $500,000 wedding. This farm is the only asset we have that can give me the send-off I deserve." I stared at my parents. "You're selling our legacy ... for a party?" "It's not just a party," my father said, finally looking at me with a mix of pity and resolve. "It's Bianca's future, her social standing. Farming is a dying business, Sierra. You're clinging to the past. This sale sets us all up. You'll get 1/3 of the proceeds. You can buy a nice little condo in town, 1/3. For the years of backbreaking work while Bianca partied in Europe. For turning the failing farm profitable with my own hands, my own ideas." They saw my life's work as a down payment on her champagne toast. "I won't sign," I said, my voice quiet. "You don't have to," my mother replied softly, cruelly. "The farm is in our name, sweetheart, we're your parents. We know what's best." The sale went through in 60 days. I stood by the roadside as the Heritage Estates sign went up at the drive I'd shoveled clear every winter. The pain was a physical hole in my chest. My parents and Bianca moved to a McMansion on the edge of the development, living off the remaining proceeds. My share was deposited in my account enough for that condo, a mocking payoff for my birthright. I took the money, but I didn't buy a condo. I bought a one-way ticket to California. In Silicon Valley, I became someone else. Sierra Callahan, farm girl, died. I was Seville, a ruthless, brilliant strategist. I used my knowledge of soil, weather patterns, and resource management skills learned keeping a farm alive and applied them to tech. I joined a green tech startup focusing on AI-driven sustainable agriculture. I spoke the language of venture capitalists, of scalability, of disruption. I worked 20-hour days. My co-founder, a quiet engineer named Leo, saw the fire in me. We didn't date, we built. Our company, Terranova, created an algorithm that could predict crop yields and optimize soil health with shocking accuracy. We were solving the very problems that had plagued family farms like mine. We went public in 4 years. My equity stake was worth $187 million. The day after the IPO, I stood on a balcony overlooking San Francisco. The fog reminded me of morning mist on the Iowa fields. Leo stood beside me. "You've been running towards something since the day I met you," he said. "What is it?" "Home," I whispered. I had my lawyers set up a blind trust. Through it, we began quietly buying up the failing Heritage Estates development. The 2008 crash had stalled it. The developer was desperate. We bought the land at cents on the dollar. And finally, we bought the central, prized 500 acres, the heart of the old Callahan farm, where the model homes now stood, half empty. The deed arrived by courier. I held the paper that made me the owner of my own childhood. The next call was to a demolition company. I returned to Iowa in the spring, driving a rented truck up the now cracked pavement of the Heritage Estates Boulevard. The model homes were gone, bulldozed into memory. The land was raw again, healing my land. I set up a temporary office in the old barn. I'd convinced the developers to keep as a rustic feature. My first order of business: hire back every local farmhand who'd been put out of work by the development. We began the process of returning the land to organic production. using Terranova tech to make it more fertile than ever. My parents, living in their now declining mansion on the edge of the property, finally noticed. They saw the activity, the rebirth. They came to investigate, marching into the barn office like the landlords they once were. They found me behind a desk, wearing my burgundy leather jacket like armor. "Sierra, what is all this? Who gave you permission?" my father began. "I did," I said, leaning back. "I own it, all of it, the entire failed development, including the plot your house sits on." Their faces went through a fascinating series of emotions: confusion, disbelief, dawning horror. "You bought it," my mother gasped, "through a trust. For a fraction of what you sold it for. The market crash was unfortunate. For you," Bianca pushed forward, her face twisted, "this is our home. You can't just, it's my land," I corrected, my voice ice. "You sold it for your wedding, remember? The wedding to the guy who left you 2 years ago after the money ran out." She flinched as if struck. "I'm not heartless," I continued, pulling out a standard rental agreement. "You can stay in the house as tenants. Market rent is $4,500 a month for a property that size." My father spluttered, his face purple. "You'd charge your own parents' rent? You charged me my inheritance for a wedding cake," I said, standing. "This is business. Sign the lease or vacate in 30 days. The sheriff will enforce the eviction." The power dynamic had not just shifted. It had been inverted. They were supplicants on the land they'd sold. I was the steward of a legacy they'd auctioned for vanity. They signed. Every month, their check fuels the farm's regeneration. I see them sometimes in town, avoiding my gaze. Bianca works at a boutique she once shopped in. They are shadows of their former selves, living on the land they no longer own. Last week, I stood on the porch of the farmhouse I'm rebuilding. Leo was beside me, holding my hand. The fields were green with promise, my new organic label, True Heritage, shipping nationwide. "You rebuilt it," Leo said. "More than that," I replied, watching the wind dance through the crops. "I reclaimed it." They thought they were selling dirt. They were selling my soul. Now, I get to buy it back, on my terms, and make it grow something even they couldn't kill. My future. The sun set over my fields, painting the sky in colors of vindication. The tenants in the big house drew their curtains closed. And for the first time in years, the land and I were at peace.